All right, so we're talking about malt because malt is heavily used in whiskey production, and that's my jam, so that's why we're doing it. But as long as starches can be converted into sugars, any any base can be used. Potatoes, sugar cane, obviously you see that in vodka and rum production. But malting is what we're going to talk about, and let's talk about distillation really quick. Distillation is when starches are converted into sugars. Yeast loves to eat up sugar, and then fermentation happens, and alcohol is a byproduct of fermentation. So what is malt? So basically malt is any cereal grain that has been soaked and dried. The reason why it's done is when it's soaked, it's usually done in cooler temperatures so that it fools the grain into believing that spring is happening and that it's going to sprout, and that's germinate. So when the enzymes start kicking in, that's when that whole process starts of starches being converted into sugars, and then the yeast eating up the sugars and all of that good stuff, and alcohol is producing you have these amazing whiskeys. Okay, so the next step is kilning, and that is essentially killing the plant, unfortunately, but you're halting the germination process. And the reason why we're doing that is because you have the best mix of your proteins, your starches, and your enzymes, and so it's now getting ready to be sent off to the production facility for distilling. Now, in Scotland, the main heat source used to be peat, and that came from peat bogs. So that's why you see amazing scotches like this that have that peat flavor. The phenols from the peat translates into the flavor of the whiskey. Obviously, we don't have to do that anymore, so that's why you also see unpeated scotches, but that was the tradition. Now, the other thing is that barley is the most widely used in malting. It doesn't have to be barley, but it's definitely the most widely used, and that's mainly because it has low gluten, so it doesn't gunk up their stills. And second, the enzyme process is the most effective and efficient in barley. So that's why you see in mash bills, like even in bourbon and American whiskey production, you usually see a small amount of barley in almost every mash bill. And that's really just because it helps kick off that enzymatic process. And then when you have something like traditional Irish whiskey, they use a blend of malted and unmalted barley, and the malted barley again is to help with the enzymatic process, but the unmalted barley adds a lot of mouthfeel and nice flavors, which is why redbreast, yellow spot also delicious.